that Jean-Michel Basquiat show that we had. I mean, I was begging people, to buy those paintings for $3,000. And now, of course, a lot of the big collectors who discovered Jean-Michel were down there and they wouldn't do it. They wouldn't buy. One of the reasons is they thought they could get them from John even cheaper from his studio after the show, but that didn't work either because he put that entire collection of paintings away in storage for almost 10 years.
That's crazy. Huh. And then what did you like with him? And for instance, what's something that people don't understand or appreciate about him, but since you actually knew him personally, that you had a better understanding of his personality?
Well, I mean, John was just, John was very serious about his artwork. And, one of the big struggles that continues now to this day is that he was, and then this, it's the same thing with the whole like graffiti art type of branding. Because, again, the artists that we had were, some of them, went to like Arch Connolly. And it was very interesting to see, that Arch did go to like, an accredited art school. So the guys could share tips, and then they would teach them how to spray paint and everything. And you can't really, I didn't want people to see anyone as categorized. And the burden that John carried, and he's carrying it still today, and I'm still carrying it right with him, as he's seen as a Black artist.
Okay.
And nobody called Julian Schnabel a big fat slob white artist. Why does John have to take all the weight? Ha ha. I mean, just be categorized like that. That for somehow, that's not good enough. And
well, how did that affect you? How does that affect him? How did that affect what was going on at the time, would you say?
I mean, it was difficult. I mean, look at what Billie Holiday had to go through, being like, losing her cabaret license. It's just, and then they didn't buy from the show because they thought they could take him afterwards. That's insulting. That's very hurtful.
Yeah.
And he took it that way, so did I. Well, I'm a little more angry about it, but he was too, so.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's crazy. So with Wild Style, since that was different from the other Underground USA, for instance, by comparison, what happened with your career and the trajectory? Because that's such a landmark film now, but even when it was first coming out, did you see like an instant change in people noticing you, or fun gallery stuff, or different things, or what?
No, it was still really pretty much a, it wasn't this, things didn't, there wasn't this big explosion of, tons of Instagrams and stuff like that about Wild Style. I mean, there was still print and so on. I think the greatest thing about Wild Style is that it brought hip hop to the world. I mean, that trip to the tour, the Wild Style Japan tour was, landmark. I mean, that's what really brought hip hop to the world. Another thing too that's funny about Wild Style is that somebody said this, I can't remember who, and they said that the other thing that's really great about my character in Wild Style is like, usually in those movies, the white person comes in and, fix it and tells all the Black people like what to do and, to make their blah, 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 make their lives better and everything. And in the film, in Wild Style, like everybody's really mean to me. Sapper kicks me out of the yards and, but I just keep tagging along.
Yes. Fair enough. Okay. And one other thing that I remember seeing a long time ago, and I was always curious about, was Attack of the Killer Bimbos.
Yeah.
So I know that you, or I read back then, and I looked it up again to make sure, but you had written that too, or co-wrote it?
Yes, one of my big fave movies were the girl gang movies, and particular Faster, Pussycat, Kill, the queen of those. So when I clicked them after in like the gallery lasted from 1981 to 1985, and the 85 the whole scene had changed. They were building the $1 million condos on Avenue C, and just the whole scene had changed, where now it was becoming just people coming down to exploit the scene, not create the scene. And I was like, you know what, I'm out of here. And I moved to California to join Anita Rosenberg, who I had made a couple films with before. Actually, one of them is called Bachelorette Pad, and it's shot entirely on location. A lot of it is shot at Negril, the famous hip hop club that predated the Roxy. Fab's in it. Zephyr did our commentary, their comic in captions. Sorry, Zephyr did the captions. There's a lot of like fun gallery people. And at our second film that we made after we moved out to Hollywood, it was interesting because there was like this kind of exodus from New York to Hollywood, which was kind of East Villagey then. It's not anymore, but Hollywood was called Hollyweird. It was very rough. You could get cheap apartments out there. And so I moved out, and so did a lot of the Beasties, or all the Beasties, Africa Islam, moved out with them too. So a lot of people, we were all out in the Bronson Canyon, Hollywood, actual real Hollywood neighborhoods. And Ice-T was living with Darlene in a real cheap apartment over there too. So we all used to hang out together. And our second film, you would love this one, is Get Tuxed. And in it, I talked Ice-T and Henry G and Prince Whipper Whip into playing the sharks. And Africa Islam did some beats for me, and they do raps. And I think that was Ice-T's first movie role.
That's crazy.
And out of Get Tuxed, we got the call for Bimbos. Anita knew, she was in the Hollywood game. So we got the call for Bimbos. And so I'm working some crummy job. And I was working at this big, huge company as a temp, which meant that I could go in, and I was a floater, so I just got to go in and then check in, and then they would supposedly send me to a department, but then I would go to the legal department and read everyone's contracts, and I got to know the guys in the mailroom, always very important. And they had just given me this magazine, I think it was Film Comment, that the entire issue was on girl gang movies. They said, "Patti, this is for you." I said, "Oh yeah, thanks guys." The next day, Anita calls me and she goes, Patti, I got a call. We can do this movie. The title's called Assault of the Killer Bimbos, and they've already sold it, but they don't have a movie. If we can come up with an idea in 3 days, we can do the movie. No problem. I got it.
Wow.
And so that was how Assault of the Killer Bimbos came out.
That's crazy. It's just amazing, because when I've talked to Prince Whipper Whip and Ice-T and those guys, and they tell me about those Hollywood days, it does seem like it was very exciting, but also a free-for-all at the same time. So now, what did you notice was the difference from what those guys were doing out here? Because a lot of them came from New York, but they were in LA. So what difference did you see from the art scene, the music scene, the scene overall, from what you came from in New York to how it was unfolding in Los Angeles at the time?
Yeah, and in Los Angeles, I mean, it was kind of, it was almost starting over again. I mean, that was when K-Day, was on the air, and everybody, listened to K-Day. It was kind of like the early, Mr. Magic, shows back in New York 10 years earlier. Wasn't as really as up in the graffiti scene out here. I did go to the I did go to the Hacks versus someone else, really a very famous LA thing. They had a big battle down on the LA River. There was this big, huge warehouse, furniture warehouse, and they let guys paint on it. And there was a big famous battle. So I met, because they knew who I was already from Wild Style. So I met Jurassic 5 at that battle.
Wow.
Jurassic 5 is actually kind of an interesting new look. And of course, Ice-T and Henry G came out of the whole Radiotron club downtown, and Rhyme Syndicate. It was a little bit more of that West Coast flavor. It wasn't all the way to the G thing, but it was a little different, because you are riding in your convertible. And that was also when the Crenshaw scene was really happening. That's all gone now. But on Sunday afternoon, you could go down and just cruise Crenshaw Boulevard. Guys would be all out in the tricked out, convertibles, bumping and thumping. Everybody's in the outfits. Everyone's blasting music. So it was got a LA flavor.
Fair enough. Now, also with Saul the Killer Bimbos, I was also intrigued because with writing, you also were in it. So what was the balance, and why did you decide to want to be in it, having written it and produce it and you did a lot. So why did you want to do all those things for one film?
Well, I always do all those things for my films. Basically, because a lot of the independent films, Rome 78, James Nair, he said, you can be in it if you can think of a character for yourself. I said, okay, I will. And, and if you have, if you're just out there on the set by yourself, that's indie filmmaking. I always kind of produce my own self, because I want to be the best that I can be. So you want to take care of that stuff. And also it gives you the opportunity to be in the type of movie that you want to be in. You don't have to play, because I don't fit in the commercial cinema at all. Commercials, forgot it. And so I only do all the other stuff so I can be in it.
Okay.
Come on.
That's the driving force, you think?
Oh yeah, I'm an actress. Come on. Always in my light. Always in my light.
Okay. And then I also thought it was interesting because like Paul Ben Victor's in it. There's a lot of big people later that are in it. And I remember with him, he's done so much, but I love The Wire, of course, when he was in that. But the thing, since you've worked with and been around so many people, and using Paul Ben Victor as an example, is it easy to tell, or was it easy for you to tell along the way, like people that were going to make it versus people that weren't? And if so, what did you notice? Because it's been in so many different styles, eras,
Yeah, it's interesting too, because people ask me particularly about with Keith and John and and Fab and those people, they say well, when did you know that they were going to be stars? I said, the minute I met them.
Okay.
There's just, and also, with those guys, Nick Cassavetes is in it.
Right.
He even took direction for me one day on the set. What's called Griffin O'Neill's in it. Bimbos we're talking about. You know what? I think that if the willingness to do that, and to do a great job and have fun with it. And if you're in a situation like that where you're doing it because you care about it, it's a good sign that you have that thing, you have that thing, talking with Kenny Scharf when we were doing the Art in the Streets at MoCA, this big, huge show. Jeffrey Deitch put it on in 2010 or something. And Kenny and I are he's doing his black light room for the fun gallery part of the show. And Kenny and I are the last people there at the 12 o'clock the night the whole show closed down. Kenny and I are still there, like working, and and we just got talking about it. And Kenny said, he said, really, Patti, the most important thing is that you just can't care about what anyone else thinks, that you just have to, see what you want and then you go for it. And I said, yeah, Kenny, you're right. Let's have some more pot.
Fair enough. Now, there was the East Village USA book several years ago, and what's going on with the Fun Gallery documentary or book as well?
Actually, I have been, I live now in Hermosa Beach, and
Congratulations.
yeah, I know, it's beautiful here. I have, oddly enough, through the art line, gotten some financing. So I started my own company, Pink Fiddle Productions, and we are pitching the documentary and the feature film and the book. They're kind of all the same package right now. And we have there's a trailer online that's done a few years ago, but it's still the same intent. Patti Astor's Fun Gallery is on YouTube. And people are, people are getting more and more receptive to the story. So.
All right. Well, congratulations on that. All right. Well, Patti, anything else you want to add before we wrap up?
No, first of all, I want to thank, because this is I want to thank the hip hop community for welcoming me in and adding a dimension to my life that I never expected.
Yeah, it did the same for me. So yes, I'm familiar. I know what you mean. All right. Well, anything else before we wrap, Patti?
Nope. Keep true to your game. That's my advice.
Be sure to check out the History of Gangster Rap by Soren Baker. He's official.
History of Gangster Rap features exclusive interviews with Ice-T, Snoop Dogg, MC Ren, the D.O.C, and dozens of others. The History of Gangster Rap, a definitive look at how Los Angeles changed rap forever.
In Los Angeles, the streets definitely set the tone of the hip-hop music.
At 19, I got a $50,000 car.
My whole angle always was, I'll be street, but I will always tell you the horrors that go along with this life.
There will be penalties and casualties for just wearing the wrong color in somebody's neighborhood.
And once gangster rap made it from the streets to the TV, the genre exploded.
What's that 5 on Yo MTV back with NWA?
Yo MTV, it just catapulted us from being local heroes to national gangbang rappers.
The History of Gangster Rap discusses it all from 1980 up till today.
It's always gonna be shit happening in the streets. You know what I mean? So it's always gonna be something to talk about.
The History of Gangster Rap in stores now.